All right, let's dive into the world of Bitcoin. In the next few minutes, we're going to break it all down for you, from what the blockchain actually is, all the way to how you truly own your Bitcoin with something called private keys.
Okay, so to really get a handle on this, we're going to break it down into 5 simple parts. We'll start at the very beginning with the one big problem that Bitcoin was actually designed to solve.
So before we can even talk about what Bitcoin is, we've got to understand why it was created. And it all comes down to a surprisingly simple problem. How do you pay someone online? And this slide right here gets to the heart of the matter. Just think about it for a second. If I hand you $10 in cash, that's it, right? It's peer-to-peer, the deal is done, it's instant, it's private, there's no middleman. But the second you try to do that online, well, everything changes. Suddenly you need a bank, a third party that you have to trust to make it happen.
And that's the deal with pretty much every digital payment system we use today. Whether it's your bank or Visa or even PayPal, you're always relying on someone in the middle. And what does that get you? Well, it can mean delays, especially if you're sending money internationally. It almost always means fees, and it definitely means you lose that privacy you get with cash.
Okay, so with that problem in mind, let's jump to 2008. This is where an anonymous creator, or maybe a group of creators, known only as Satoshi Nakamoto, proposed this incredibly elegant solution.
And that solution was Bitcoin. The whole idea was to create a purely peer-to-peer version of electronic cash. The goal was simple: let people send money directly to each other online, just like handing someone a bill, without needing to go through a bank or any other financial institution.
And you don't have to take my word for it. This quote is literally the very first sentence of the original Bitcoin white paper. It's the mission statement right there in black and white. Cut out the middleman.
But, okay, this brings up a huge problem, right? If there's no bank keeping a central record of who has what's to stop me from just copying my digital dollar and spending it once, then spending that same copy dollar again? This is the famous double spend problem, and it was the biggest hurdle to creating digital cash.
So how did Satoshi solve this massive puzzle? Well, the answer was absolutely genius. It's this thing called a distributed ledger, but you probably know it by its much more famous name, the blockchain.
So get this, instead of having one central bank with one big ledger that could be hacked or manipulated, the Bitcoin ledger is shared. It's copied and distributed across thousands and thousands of computers all over the world. The analogy here is perfect. It's like having thousands of independent bookkeepers, and they all have a copy of the same books. They're constantly checking each other's work, making sure everything adds up.
And here's how it actually works. It's a pretty straightforward process, really. You send a transaction out to the network. All these computers, or nodes, check it out to make sure it's legit. Then, your transaction gets grouped together with a bunch of others into what's called a block. And finally, that new block gets cryptographically changed to the one that came right before it.
And that's it. That's the blockchain. It's literally a chain of blocks. And because every single block is cryptographically locked to the one before it, the whole thing becomes permanent and basically impossible to tamper with. I mean, to change a transaction from the past, you'd have to go back and redo all the math for every single block that came after it. The whole network would see it instantly and just reject it. It's an unchangeable record of history.
Okay, so if there's no bank, no company, no CEO in charge, who's actually doing all this work? Who's building these blocks and keeping the whole network honest and secure?
Well, this is where a special group of network participants called miners come in. These miners use really powerful computers to compete against each other to solve a super complex math puzzle. And the winner, the first one to solve it, gets a prize. They get to add the next block to the chain, and for their effort, they are rewarded with brand new Bitcoin.
Now, this whole competitive process has a name. It's called proof of work. You have to prove you did the computational work. And this is the really brilliant part. This one mechanism does 3 crucial things all at once. It secures the entire network, it validates all the transactions, and it's the system that creates new Bitcoins and puts them into circulation. And speaking of creating new Bitcoin, here is one of the most important features of the whole system. Written into the core code, there's a hard, unbreakable rule. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin created. That's it. That fixed supply is what makes it a truly scarce digital asset, something that had never existed before.
Okay, but you don't have to be a miner with a supercomputer to use Bitcoin, right? So let's get practical. How do you, as a regular person, actually own and use it? How do you control your own digital cash?
It all comes down to something called keys. It starts with a private key. Now think of this as your master secret password. You never share this with anyone. This secret key then mathematically creates a public key, which is kind of like your bank account number. It's okay to share this. And from that public key, you get a Bitcoin address which you can give out to people so they can send you funds. It's like your email address for money.
Okay, listen up, because if you take away only one thing from this whole explainer, let it be this. Your private key is everything. It is the only thing that proves you own your Bitcoin. It's the key to your digital vault. If you lose it, your Bitcoin is gone forever. There's no forgot my password link, no customer service to call. And if someone else gets their hands on it, they control your Bitcoin. It's that simple.
And this brings us to a really important choice you have to make. When you buy Bitcoin on an exchange, a lot of the time, they're holding your private keys for you. It's convenient, for sure, but it means you're trusting the third party again. The other option is self-custody, where you hold your own keys in your own digital wallet. It takes a bit more responsibility, but this is the way to have ultimate security and control. It's the true trustless spirit of Bitcoin.
Which really brings us to the final and maybe the most important question of all. It gets to the very core of what makes Bitcoin so revolutionary. If you don't hold the keys, is it really your Bitcoin? This whole system isn't just a new way to send money. It's a new way of owning something digitally without having to ask for anyone's permission. It's a fundamental shift.